Deep Work by Newport. You've surely been through this. You start working on something and your cell phone vibrates because you've received the notification. You take a look at it and then you get back to work. Some minutes afterwards, another vibration, and this time you decide you aren't going to check it. But curiosity gets at your head while you try to work, and shortly after, an urgent email arrives. You answer it and then you take that chance to check your social media. By the time you realize the morning is over and you haven't been able to produce practically anything. Today's world is full of distractions. We are always connected to everything, and the whole world is connected to us, calling for our attention at all times. The result of all of that is that we are finding it increasingly difficult to be productive, to do a good job, to practice activities in a focused way. Newport decided to confront that problem head on. In his book, Deep Work, he introduces the concept of deep work and establishes 4 rules for being successful in a world full of distractions. In today's Arata Academy summary, we will go into what exactly deep work means and which are these 4 rules that you need to follow to retake control of your attention, to be a more focused person, and to stand out in a world full of distracted professionals. Deep work is valuable. If you manage to focus, you will stand out in the workforce. Now, before we continue, let's make the meaning of deep work clear. This concept of deep work refers to those professional activities carried out in a state of distraction-free concentration. The advantage of entering a state of concentration free of distractions is that it takes your cognitive abilities to a whole new level. When was it the last time that you entered such a state of total concentration for a long enough period of time? The constant interruptions we undergo at work nowadays are detrimental to our productivity, not only because they distract us. The problem is not the distraction in itself. After decades of psychology and neuroscience studies, research shows that the state of mental tension that comes with deep work is necessary to enhance our cognitive abilities. If our brain is not used to working for long periods of time in a focused way, it loses some of this capacity. Minds that are constantly interrupted can't develop as much as they could. Great names in human history produced their best works during periods of isolation, of deep work. But what prevails nowadays is the opposite. Today, what abounds are superficial jobs, done between gaps of social media, emails, videos, and photos without end. In order to become a valued professional, you need to have these 2 basic qualities. The first one is the ability to master difficult things quickly. And the second one is the ability to produce at a high level in terms of both quality and speed. Both abilities can be attained through deep work of high quality. And deep work of high quality is nothing but the time that you spend doing a task multiplied by the intensity of your focus. It can even look quite simple, but deep work is high quality that is always harder to reach. And that can be positive for you and for your pocket. Deep work is rare. The market is ready to pay a high price for your concentration. The ability to work deeply is getting more and more rare. All companies see is superficial, fast, and careless work that quickly becomes out of date. And because it is so rare, the ability to concentrate is also becoming more valuable in our economy. The few professionals who harvest this ability get to prosper financially. The law of supply and demand shows that people tend to pay much more for a very demanded but rare product. The same law applies to deep work as well. The market pays a lot for people who are able to make deep work the center of their professional work. And that is why, if you want to increase your salary, developing your deep work can be an excellent way to do it. There is a belief according to which all of us should be constantly connected, answer messages as soon as they reach us. That companies value that kind of immediate answer and that kind of commitment, even during non-working hours. Answering a message quickly and superficially is something everyone is capable of doing, and that behavior is the principle of least resistance in action. A lot of business environments don't give clear feedback about the impact that certain behavior patterns have on the company's results, and that is why professionals tend to adopt the easiest behavior at all time. We have a big problem today. There aren't clear indicators that tell us what it means to be productive and valuable at our jobs. And due to this problem, a lot of workers use a productivity indicator that is absolutely out of date from the time of the Industrial Revolution. And this indicator only measures the quantity of worked hours, but not the quality of the work. And that is why these workers do a lot of things in a visible way. They look busy, but the truth is that being busy is not the same thing as being productive. What is easier, answering quickly and superficially to a message as soon as possible, as soon as it arrives, or actually taking the time and the focus and effort to analyze the demand and offer an excellent solution? Answering a message quickly and superficially is something that anyone can do. That is why it is not highly paid. It is not highly valued. No one is going to be paid a high salary just for answering a lot of messages quickly or for always being online on social media platforms. On the other hand, someone who produces high quality work as a result of time and effort is usually more valued. That solution is much more difficult and therefore much more rare, which means it is better paid. And even if money is not as important to you, deep work is interesting because only with time and effort you will be able to produce something that is actually meaningful. Deep work is meaningful. You need time and focus to leave a legacy. Apart from being better paid, deep work has another advantage of a subjective nature. When you devote your time and your concentration to produce work, you create something meaningful. A meaningful work is the work that you're proud of doing. It is work you show to your family and your friends, and that's the type of work that you keep doing with affection, the type of work which gives you personal satisfaction regardless of the financial results. Imagine what you would think at the end of your life. Think about what you've built. It is unlikely that you will say you would like to have spent more hours answering messages on social media. You'll probably be proud of some significant work that you've done or regret not have done something. Your outlook on life is built on the basis of what you pay attention to. If your attention is always focused on unimportant activities, you may have the feeling that your life is meaningless too. But if you focus on producing meaningful work, you start finding more meaning in life. Apart from that, when you stay focused on meaningful work, your chances of entering a state of flow increase. We already talked about the state of flow here in our channel on episode 134 of the series Hello, say Arata. Briefly, the state of flow is the state in which you stay so immersed in your activities that you don't even notice the time passing by. So, we can conclude that deep work is really something valuable, rare, and meaningful. If you have the ability to do your work with total focus, you will be a more sought after professional, better paid, and more satisfied. The question here is how to acquire in practice that ability to focus. The answer lays in the 4 rules of deep work. Rule number 1: work deeply. You fight against your desire all day long. If you choose between something desirable and easy and something not as desired and more difficult, you probably choose the easier path. In the dispute between distraction and deep work, distraction is almost always going to win. You have a limited quantity of willpower. As you resist distractions, you consume your willpower. You can even think of willpower as if it were the batteries of your phone. At the beginning of the day, the batteries are full, but every time you use your willpower, you spend it a little bit. And after a few uses, the batteries will be empty. And you won't be able to use your willpower and resist the temptation to get distracted. Your ability to resist temptations is not a question of character. At a certain point, no matter how committed you are, your storage of willpower simply depletes, it runs out. And that is how you give up your deep work and you surrender to distractions. The solution to this dilemma is not having to rely on your willpower. And to do that, you first need to decide your philosophy of deepness. You need to plan where, how, and when you're going to work deeply. And that can be done in 4 different ways. The first way is the monastic philosophy of the deep work chronogram. That is, just as if you were a monk, you'd live your life completely focused on doing your job. You would isolate yourself and remove all distractions so that you can concentrate exclusively on your work. The second way is the bimodal philosophy of the deep work chronogram. Bimodal means that it gives you 2 modes in life, the work mode and the distraction mode. When you're in work mode, you disconnect yourself from distractions and you just focus on producing. And when you are in distracted mode, you completely forget about your work. The important thing is having clear limits and establishing specific times for the work mode. The third way is the rhythmic philosophy of deep work. The idea is to set a pace, to create a constant habit of working deeply. Every day at the same time or after the same trigger, you must work deeply. You can even use a visual aid with a calendar with a sequence of days marked with an X every time you work deeply. And your task is simply not to break this pattern of marking X's every single day. And the fourth and last way is the journalistic philosophy of deep work. Because journalists are trained to automatically enter the writing mode whenever their job requires it. News doesn't wait for a predefined time to happen. Whenever it happens, the journalist must be ready. And that is why the journalistic philosophy of deep work tells you to work methodically in the focused mode whenever you have free time for it. No matter what philosophy you choose, remember to adopt a routine to start working deeply. That helps your brain to concentrate and understand that it's time to concentrate. Define the place. Decide whether you're going to let other people know. Check what notifications you're going to be turning off. Ideally, you should reduce the possibilities of distraction to a minimum. The four ways of putting into practice the deep work fit perfectly in any kind of lifestyle. Whether you're able to isolate yourself completely, or if you have fixed schedules, or your work is based on habits, or if you're even constantly interrupted. In every case, there is always going to be a philosophy for you to enforce the first rule: work deeply. Rule number 2. Accept boredom. There is a truth that you have to accept. Your deep work is hardly going to be as relaxing or fun or distracting as checking your social media platforms or watching a video on YouTube or chatting with a friend. You see, sometimes long periods of concentration in which you're going to be doing some deep work that is of high quality and meaningful can become boring. And the best thing you can do is to already accept the boredom as a natural part of the process. You can even plan distraction gaps to break your boredom, but those gaps really need to be planned. Distractions must not come every time a notification pops up at your screen. And to understand how to plan your distractions, you can watch our video on the technique of the time blocks. That is arata.se/study05. One of the best ways to embrace your boredom is having at hand only what is essential for your deep work. If you're only going to write a text, leave your phone outside the room when you're working, or keep it hidden in a drawer, or in any other way as far from you as possible. If you don't need to use the internet, lock off the Wi-Fi, lock the door if it is necessary. The more suitable the environment is for your concentration, the more likely that you will do deep work. It can seem hard at first, but with time, your brain will get used to it, and you will see how this is way easier than getting distracted all the time and having to regain your focus afterwards. Rule number 3. Leave your social media. Now keep calm. Before you close this video thinking you find it impossible to leave your social media, let's see what this third rule suggests. In the first place, it is not suggesting that you delete permanently your accounts from your favorite social media. We all know that these social networks are often essential for keeping in touch with the people who are far away from you, perhaps with family members, or even to have more job opportunities. What the third rule of deep work suggests is that for you to leave your social media during your work hours. The idea here is that you control your social media instead of being controlled by it. And that is not an easy task. Social media are carefully developed and improved by programmers and advertisers and even automated algorithms, all of them with one objective: to make you use them as long as possible. And that is why, if you don't have a clear and well-defined strategy, you can end up wasting a lot of time on social media. The best thing you can do is to make sure that you know why you're accessing that social network. Is it to distract yourself? Is it to keep in contact with someone? Is it because of professional reasons? Whatever the case might be, you should ideally have predefined blocks of time to be accessing that social media. Nowadays, it is possible to set your phone or computer to establish limits of time or time slots in which you will be able to access your social media platform. Additionally, you can set up your notifications to only show in very specific cases. In professional situations, you can use third-party programs to post on your social media only at certain times. And then this way, you don't see anybody else's publications, and at the same time, you keep your presence in social platforms. Every case is different. If social media are really getting into your way, you can consider leaving them altogether. But if they're providing you with entertainment, contact with your loved ones, or even means of information, well, you only need to control your access to them. In any case, you just need to focus on the rule number 3: don't use social media while you're working. And rule number 4 is get rid of shallowness. The fourth and last rule of deep work is to get rid of the shallowness in your life. You must avoid shallow work and focus on what really matters. Instead of answering messages quickly and superficially, focus on answering demands with a deep and original work that will bear fruits. Plan your day so then you have time to do that kind of deep work. Besides scheduling breaks for distractions, you can devote blocks of time specifically to do these shallow tasks that you can't get rid of. If you believe that your work's culture does not allow that, well, try to change that culture. But don't try to do it with words. Do it with results. Start showing the results of your deep work, and people will start getting curious about this new way of working that you have. You can even measure your shallow work and your deep work by the hours, and afterwards you can show your superiors about how much time the company is asking the employees to be wasting on shallow tasks. With minor adjustments, little by little, you can modify not only the way you work, but also the way your colleagues work. Okay, that will require some effort, but the final result will be worth it. And if you realize that the company you work for is not really interested in deep work, maybe that is a valuable discovery, then it is also a sign for you that it is time for a change. In today's Arata Academy summary, you learn that deep work is valuable, rare, and meaningful. By learning how to be focused in a world full of distractions, you will become a more sought after, better paid, and more satisfied worker. To develop that ability to focus, you've gone through 4 general rules that guide deep work: working deeply, accepting boredom, leaving social media, and getting rid of shallowness. But there are even more advanced techniques to enhance your focus. In a focus course, you will learn in detail which are these concentration techniques that will take you to a whole new level. And to get to know this training course, you can go to arata.se/focus course.